Howdy, howdy again. 55 off grid here. Hey, as promised, the planter beds, the garden boxes, raised garden box in the very first video, the 3-foot by 30-foot bed. We're going to build a smaller one, but it's built the exact same way. The only difference is just the length of the boards. And we're going to do a 2-foot by 4-foot, maybe 6-foot. We'll see. I'm thinking probably 6-foot, 2-foot by 6-foot, a little planter to add a few more plants, flowers, vegetables, whatever, something you want to keep maybe not in your garden, separate from it, plants conflicting with each other. Anyway, we're going to get to it. Some of the things you're going to need, not too much. You're going to need a drill. This is a little impact, but a drill does the same thing. A drill will work with all the bits. Screws, 1 5/8 inch. That's it for the screws. A bit that fits them. So you got your bit, got the screws. Anyway, so yeah, the bit, screws. I use a hole saw. Just nothing fancy, nothing. This one's 1 1/4 inch. It could be 1 inch, 7/8, 1.5 inches. It could be dug out with a saw. It's just a little hole to put the irrigation pipe in. That's all. A little drill to pre-drill the holes where the screws are going to go so the CEDAR doesn't split. I use this little countersink, and but you don't have to. Just a drill big enough that the screw just will barely fit through, maybe a little snug even. But that way it's not screwing into both boards, it's only screwing into the board behind it, so it pulls it together tight. A measuring tape, pencil, that's pretty much it for the basic. You're gonna need a way to cut the wood. The pieces that I cut already, these are one side, the other side. It's actually, this is lengthwise this way, but the taller ones are so the solar lights come out on the back side if you like. If you don't want any lights on it, if you don't want any sticking up any higher, make them all 11 inches. These are 11, these are 17. But cutting these, so I use my big miter saw in my little wood shop den. I have a Ryobi cordless, and this you can set the depth all the way to the max, and you can actually make a cut one way, go through, flip your board over, actually flip it the other way, follow your groove, flip it over, follow your groove, and flip it over one more time and finish it. Some people do one side and then flip it clear over and do the other side. I just like doing it 1, 2, 3, 4. That way I just follow that same cut line. And there's always one more option. So yeah, this will give you a little workout. Not too bad, but you know, you want to take your time and it take you a bit. It's only 4 cuts, so if this is what all you got, this will work. If you're doing the whole 30-foot bed and don't have a saw, maybe get somebody you know to cut them for you. That Home Depot, Lowe's, I'm sure would even cut what you need. 11 inches long, 17 inches long, by however long you're making your bed. Okay, so we're going to do this 2 foot wide. So the very first thing I do is I make my end caps. The end cap would consist of 1 11 inch and 1 17 inch. Now I like to use, I have a 4x8 sheet of plywood here. This is my This is what I use for a workbench, and it's square. So when I'm making something, I can use it as the square also. So I can put these right in the corners, and then I can take my wood and put it right up to it, and I can build up and build up, and that makes one wall. Or I can lay them down. This is how I do. So this would be the back of the box, because it's 17 tall, front of the box. Unless you want your lights in the front, that's up to you, but I put them in the back. So I just line this up so it's nice and square on there. Square with the back, square with the front. And put this over here. Oh, I might want to add, you'd want a square. It doesn't have to be this kind of square, a plastic square, anything 90 degrees to help you measure with. That works good. So we were going to go a 2-foot bed, and these boards here are actually too short. So I make these run all the way 2 foot, 2 foot, and then the long boards run all the way past the end. So I need to cut some 2-foot boards. Okay, so I'm going to slip these out of the way for right now. Get rid of these that are too short. Now I like to keep a couple of just 2x4 scraps. That's so I can set whatever I'm cutting up on something. So when I cut it, the saw blade's not chewing my table up. So keep her safe underneath. Okay, so we want 2 foot. There's our 2-foot mark. Take my square, put a mark right down there. So, as you know, I want to keep this side, so I'll put my saw blade on that side, which is typically easier. If you turn it around, you can see it easier, or if I was standing on that side cutting this way. But we can make her work. So, safety glasses, always, yeah, you don't want stuff in the eyes. So I'm going to put the blade on this, just on this side of the line, so I get a 2-foot piece of wood. There. Yeah, this is nice, little Ryobi cordless. It's not the heavy dutyest, to tell you the truth. The bearing in here squalls sometimes. But I have used it a lot, and I sure like it. It's handy, it's light, and simple things like that. We'll do a quick check. 2 foot, right on the money. Okay, there's one of them. Let's make one more. There's 6-foot boards. What's left over? Just under 2 foot. Maybe that's what those were. I don't know. Anyway. Here's our 2-foot boards. Set our little boards aside. Sweep this off. Any slivers, which I managed to do. Okay, let's bring our larger end pieces in again. Remember, set right on the corner. Get it nice and square. Bring our other one. Nice and square. Now I'll just take this. So this is going to be the bottom. It's going to stand up. So I'm going to put the first board right on there, and I want it flush with this side right here. Flush on the bottom. We'll see. So let's set this up here. You want to verify this, so I'm going to want this a little closer. And if I put that flush on the bottoms, so see, I need a gap. This will actually move up, and this will be off the bottom a little bit. This, I want 6 inches. So 6 inches is, I want 6 inches. So if I tap on this board and watch the measuring tape, and right here, I show 6 inches now. Now, these two boards are touching each other. I can eyeball. I can look right down this face and line it up with the plywood on the bottom. Turn this so it's square with this plywood. Eyeball this so it's square, and it looks like I got to move it just a little bit like that. That looks pretty darn good right there. Put these together tight again. Pull this so this is flush right up to the edge. Double check our 6 inches. Oh, see, we moved a little bit. There we go. Check here again, check here again. Looks good. Now, I want to put a screw in here. So, my little drill. So, I try to keep them, I look for the middle. This is an end cap. If this wasn't an end cap, we'll go over this. So, if this was going to continue going this direction, or continue going that direction. So say we want our planter box to keep going, this will only go halfway on here. And the next set of boards will screw on here up against these, so you can have 6 foot, 6 foot going that way.
Shuffling replace wires with veins and similar songs on Amazon Music.
I hear Alexa's listening to me too. Maybe she's learning something, huh? Okay, that was interesting. So, okay, here we go. We're just checking this out. Remember, this is an end cap. If this was the sides, it would still be just the same, but these would be 6 foot long. So, that's what's so easy about this build. 11 inches long, 17 inches long, to have 6 inches sticking up for our solar light to sit on here. Double check our 6 inches. Looks good. Looks good on the edge. I'm going to go ahead and eyeball down the center here. Looks good about there. A little countersink. I'm going to take one screw, put it here. I like where this is at. I always start kind of slow and then there. Just so it barely goes down into the wood. Check our 6 inches. Looks good. Okay, so one interesting thing, really swells and shrinks. So I always put a gap in here, and I use these little, they're door shims, like a lot of people call them. I don't know if that's what they really are, but puts a little gap in here. Line this up. Take a look down here, everything's looking pretty good. Up against our shims, that can go that way a little. Looking down here. Okay, so this board and the plywood of the workbench line up. This side here lines up. I like it. Tight against the shims. Whoop, look at that, I moved that. Let's put that back over there. Now let's put another screw. Same situation, about the middle. Oh, right where you want 2 screws to look good in there. And better make sure we're screwed up nice with each other on our length. Always look. Check this face, make sure we're nice and square. Check this face, check the gap, check this board, these boards together so everything looks nice and tidy, and then just drill. Now if you're using just a drill bit, you want to drill in just a little bit, just through the board. You want to go just through the board, not into the lower one. So you can take your pencil, put marks where you want your holes, and then take these away from this, drill all the way through, then come back, set them up, put your screws in. So let's take another screw, put her in here. Just so it goes just underneath the face of the wood. Okay, so kind of looking at this. We can take this one out because this side's anchored down by these two screws. I'm gonna check this again. This looks good. That looks good. But now I want this, since it's an end cap, I want it all the way flush. And I want it square. So we can check this with our down there off of our plywood, pull it up to it, and take a look, and it looks pretty darn good. Feel the edges. Okay, and we want to be flush. So the reason I like this, it won't drill into the lower wood. It won't quite go that deep. So I can reach over here and go ahead and put a hole that I'm going to use. I can even set a screw in there. And now I can kind of line things up. I like the way that felt. I want to make sure that this is flush on here and back here. Feels good to me. There you go. Now, put this up against, see the shim's real loose, but you can go like that, and you can even just look at the gap and go, oh, I don't know, yeah, that looks good. Then go ahead and put a hole, put a screw, look at your gap. The gap's really important because this wood shrinks and swells with the moisture from watering and go. Now I'm going to put another one here, so there'll be two on the ends of each board. So I'm going to check my square because I could still move it, but it looks pretty good. Maybe just a touch. Whoop, I bet that was too much. That looks all right. Now you can go ahead and come back. Here's our end cap. Now we can stand this up. And now this will get a 6-foot board. Just a kind of a quick show you. On this side, 2 boards just like this going that way. And then 2 over here going that way. And this same thing over here. But you got to remember, so if I built this the same way, and I was going to make this the other side, these are on the inside, that's on the air, so you got to do like a mirror. In other words, I can't turn it around, because now this is on the wrong side. So if I want to make it match, I need to build it the long one over here, the short one over here. So I'm going to move this over to this for now. And we're going to go ahead and do another one. Now remember, opposite. The long one was over here. Now it needs to be over there so it matches up with this. Okay, here's our other side done. Now we stand it up. Got outside, outside. Now you notice how it's leaning? That's because these are a little bit shallow for being clear on the bottom. But this way we're flush, flush, and that allows the bottom board down here to actually push into the ground just a little bit to seal up that soil in there. So that's how it'll sit. It won't stay like that. It'll be like this. The sideboards will hold that up. So we need to get this rigged up. And do we want 6 foot? What does 6 foot look like? Pretty long. 5 foot? 4 foot? 4 foot's just like that. You get a couple of nice plants in there. Let's do a 4 footer for this one. And yeah. And I'll still put a center section in so you can see how I do the irrigation system. But on a 6 footer, this would be at 3 foot instead of 2 foot. So yeah, let's do a 4 footer. Let me get some boards. Okay, so now we can carry on. So the box is built, and we're going to put some 2x4s right in the center and one piece of cedar that goes across here as a center brace to help keep this from bowing in and out with the moisture. Just makes a sturdier project. So the height of these boards, it's 11 inches all the way up. So I go like a 9-inch piece of wood, 9-inch 2x4. So 2 9-inch 2x4s, which will leave it a couple inches down, so you can cover it, just cover it up with dirt so you don't see it. And the piece of cedar is a little lower too. And then we drill a hole through the cedar for the piping for the irrigation system, but we'll get back to that. Anyway, let's get some 2 9-inch 2x4s ready for here. First we want to measure. We know this is a 4 foot box, so I just come on the inside. I put a mark at 2 feet in here, so now I have a reference where to put that. I'll do the same over here, and this doesn't have to be precise. Like I said, this is not a piano, it's a planter box. There I got a mark at 2 feet there, 2 feet here. I line this up, center it on that 2 foot mark. Same thing here on that side. So I can see here's the center of that 2x4. So I'm going to just put a pilot hole here. One here. And another one lower. We're not putting a top one because the board's not there. The top of the board's right here. So now attach that. No, it's 2 feet inside. These boards are 2 foot, so we need 2 feet again. Look at that. Our trimmed 2 foot boards. It's not perfect 2 1/8, I'm sure, but it's actually just a little under 2. But if it's a little bit off the